Good afternoon, welcome to Northumberland Zoo on YouTube. My name is Maxine and I work here. Now on today's video I want to feature one of the species that we've had here at the zoo for the longest. Now some of you might remember that we got two to start off with. They were called Smokey and Bandit, and they used to live in a teeny tiny little shed up there just opposite where the Curious Creatures building is. And of course they are the Meerkats. There was a little shed there with a tiny little heat lamp, and they had a little outdoor enclosure there. Then they moved down here to this bit, and there was a big walk-in shed here where you could actually walk in, view the indoor exhibits, and there was two separate enclosures here because they are well known to kind of fall apart as groups progress. And when you're an early kind of zoo starting up, these are things that you don't really know, but you learn over time. Now we have 6 of them, a family group, both dominant individuals, the male and the female, have passed on. They were around 10 plus years old, they lived quite a long time. And we've got the remainder of their offspring, which are a non-breeding group. Meerkats, once upon a time, were super popular animals, especially because of when Compare the Meerkat first came out. So everyone was queuing up to see them. We used to have a little sign on the end of the A1 that said, "Come see the Meerkats." And that was the first animal that actually made us have to get a zoo license. So because of these guys, this is where we are today. So what I want to do is kind of take you through the day in the life of the meerkat, and let's not forget their enclosure friends that you've probably never seen, but if you have, let me know in the comments below. The Cape Crested porcupines, which are quite possibly some of the coolest animals at the zoo, and you'll find out here in a second why. But anyways, we're going to meet up with a couple of the keepers who are going to show us the daily routine, show us some enrichment, and also show us some training with the porcupines. So stay tuned.
Some of our animals in this enclosure. So first off, we've got our Cape porcupines, who are called Penny and Lou, and they were actually named after the porcupines in Over the Hedge, but those porcupines are actually tree porcupines, but it doesn't matter because you don't always see Cape porcupines, so it's nice that we've got a little pair as well. Then we've got our meerkats as well. So we've got a mob of 6, and they don't have any names because it's really hard to identify each individual, but what we do is we weigh them on a regular basis, and it just means that we can microchip scan them so we know exactly who they are.
Morning, Hannah.
Hello, how are you? So, first thing, we obviously just check them, make sure they're all okay, make sure they're all there, which is very important. Have a little check over them, and the same with the porcupines, who are currently inside. They're usually inside in the morning because they're generally nocturnal. And then I tend to get them in the house, first of all, shut them in, so that I can come out on the paddock and do all the work I need to out here. So obviously cleaning up the leftovers, any poops, and also filling in the holes, because they do dig ever such a lot every day, so we need to fill those holes back in to just encourage them basically to keep digging, because that's what meerkats do, that's what they're built to do, and it's really good enrichment for them. So we need to turn, not the whole sand every day because that would take you forever, but we need to turn a good portion of the sand every day. Please. Thanks so much. Thank you. Right, little chickies. Okay. Are you all here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is a bit of a jump. So they usually have half a mouse or half a chick or egg. And then the porcupines, you can see they're actually up and about. So they're kind of waiting for their breakfast. But what we do with them is we actually don't feed them until we shut the meerkats out onto the paddock, because otherwise the meerkats also eat their breakfast because they're very greedy. So this is one of their favourite toileting areas. So this is meerkat poo, basically. Can have a little look in there. So we can tell a lot by their health by looking at the feces as well. So like this all today looks like a nice consistency. There's nothing I'd be concerned about, but we'd be looking for like maybe loose feces. That could be a concern, or maybe like if there's not very much feces, we might be like, oh, perhaps there's a problem. You can actually see, if you're interested, some of what they've had to eat. So I can see quite clearly here that they've had some sweet corn recently, and just like us, that's just gone straight through them. To be honest, they're not the worst. Like, I think it doesn't really smell like that bad. So some of the animals that we have, I'd say are definitely worse than the meerkats.
That looks better, Hannah.
Yes,
So
happy with that.
Could you tell us why there's these raised platforms in here?
One of the meerkats will always be on what's called sentry duty, so they're basically looking out for any predators, any danger which could come on the ground or it could come from the air, and our guys, even though they're living in the zoo, obviously they do exactly the same. If they feel that there is a threat, maybe a bird of prey flies over or like a low-flying aeroplane or something like that, then whoever's on sentry duty will alarm call, and the type of alarm call will tell the rest of the group what action to take. So they might say like go underground in meerkat language, or they might say, you know, run or whatever. Then the rest of the mob will follow that, and it'll keep them all safe basically. Everything else and then feed them last. So I'm just doing the check sheet for the meerkats and porcupines, just to say that yes, I've seen 6 meerkats and 2 porcupines, and I'm just doing the temperature ranges. So there's a nice level of heating in here, so we just check kind of the ambient temperature, and then the porcupine cave, which is this one, which they're often in. But I was actually able to get in there and clean today, which is nice because you can't really fight with them if they don't want to come out. So yeah, the high in there is 28 today. And then we also check the meerkats as well. So this is the main meerkat bed. So they've got a little nest area, and they use this whole cave, and then the way they get in is just through this pipe in the side there. So obviously they can bolt down there if they feel unsafe, and that's their safe area. We've got another one here as well, which we sometimes use, particularly if we're like weighing them or needing to separate them for any reason. It's quite handy to have. Here you go, guys.
We're going to be meeting our Cape Porcupines. We haven't necessarily done any official training, but what we want them to be is very confident with us. We want them to get to a point where they can trust us, because they're quite scared at the moment. They're more scared of us than we are of them. So when we go in, you'll probably see that they'll spread their quills out, but they're not doing anything nasty. It's just, they're just a little bit wary, but we've actually reached a point where we can actually hand feed them now. You've got our girl, who is the bigger one, and then you've got the male, who's the smaller one. He is more flighty, he's a little bit more nervous. There you go. So we've been doing a lot of training with her. This side, good girl. So we'll just get her to come in a little bit closer. You coming up? Good girl. And then she gets her reward. So you can see her quills right there. All the big ones at the top are just for show, but the little ones down at the bottom, They rattle if they're feeling a little bit too scared, but they'll rattle them. They'll stomp their little feet if they're a little bit unhappy. But you saw she came over, she didn't do anything nasty to me, she wasn't backing up into me, she was just a little bit wary. And then they take their food and then they go off. But you want to be using high reward food. You don't want to be just using, you know, stuff like turnip. They love their sweet potato, they love their fruit as well, so we reward them. So you can see his behaviour is very different. He does just turn to the side to us. But he still does it, which is absolutely amazing. And then off he goes. What we have actually found, never give them corn first, because every time we've given them corn, they don't want anything else after, and she sniffs everything that you've got and then just walks off. So, but they're really, really cool animals, and we want to reach a point where they can trust us, because in the future we would love to have little babies, little porcupines. That would be absolutely amazing. But if it's something that they're a little bit scared of in their enclosure, we want to be able to help them as well. Come in. But one thing about Cape porcupines as well, they don't have the best eyesight. So sometimes if you're really quiet and you make a sudden movement, they can get startled, which may seem like they're coming for you or anything, but they're not, they're just a little bit startled. So you do have to just make a few noises. That's why I just like tap the food and then she'll come over.
Can you tell me, why do visitors not always see the Cape porcupines when they come to the zoo during the day?
These guys are actually nocturnal. So another thing about old world porcupines, they are mainly nocturnal, and it means that once the meerkats go to sleep, the porcupines will come out into the paddock and you'll see them roaming about. But the best time to see them is probably first thing in the morning and last thing when they're getting fed. So when you see our porcupines, they've got lots of different quills. So really cool fact about these is when you have a look at their quills, they actually have little barbed ends, microscopic barbed ends. So when they do stab into their predator, what they can do is they just stick out, and it means it's really difficult to pull back. But when you have a look at them, you can see the really big long ones, and you'll see this all over their bodies, on their backs, and they can actually lift these up to appear really big and scary. But these ones are actually really flimsy, they're flexible, you can bend them in half, and they're really hollow. But the ones that do most damage are these ones. So these ones are the shorter ones that are basically on their bums, but these ones are a lot harder, so when you try and bend them, they're really, really sturdy. And what they do, they spread out all the quills and they actually back up into whatever is attacking them. They just release them, so they can't shoot them like right across the room or anything, but they can release them, and once these release, they just detach, and then it just stabs into whatever animal is trying to get to them. But you might find loads of quills on our paddock and in our enclosures. This doesn't mean that they've attacked one of the meerkats or anything like that. It basically just means that they've just shed them. Like us, we lose our hair when we brush it. Theirs is exactly the same, and they just regrow new ones as well. So we've got this plastic tube with lots of holes in, and then we've got some very simple cardboard tubes as well. So what we've done is just cut the edges and folded it in like a little parcel, and then what I'm going to do is spread some of the locusts and the morio worms just in there and in here, and you can actually see them get in and how dexterous their hands are as well. So I'll do the little cardboard parcels first. It's really important to do enrichment for animals in captivity because they have a lot of behaviours that they would do naturally, so we want to be promoting that. So things like this with the cardboard tubes and using their hands in the tube with the little holes in as well, but also it stimulates their minds as well. It's like toys that kids can have at home, or we play games on our phone. They may look really cute and cuddly, but they're not. They have sharp claws, they have sharp teeth, but they're really hardy animals. They work together as a group to take on any prey, so even though they're small, they're very mighty. So small and mighty is cool.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tour behind the scenes of the Meerkat house and enjoyed getting to meet a couple of our characters, including Penny and Lou. What a cool set of names. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Do let me know in the comments below if you've ever seen our crested porcupines. And if you haven't done already, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to our Northumberland Zoo channel and support what we're doing here at Northumberland Zoo. And we shall see you next week.